Hey everybody, this is Bonnie with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make my Celtic Weave Scarf or stole. This project using fingering weight yarn makes a lovely scarf, but if you wanted to upsize your yarn, perhaps shop from your stash for some maybe DK weight or even as high as worsted weight yarn, that would work for this project too. Just wanted you to know that. Just be careful to size your hook to the yarn that you choose. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about this project. It does feature the Celtic weave stitch, and I really try to design this to be an excellent entry point for those who've either never crocheted the Celtic weave stitch before or maybe who have struggled with it in the past. So it does feature the Celtic weave on both sides. Down the center and on the sides, it features a very simple V-stitch lace work. And at the end is double ribbing, or 2 front posts followed by 2 back post double crochets, which makes a lovely ribbing. Now, at any point in the tutorial you find that the instruction is just a little bit too fast, I have a solution for you. If you look at the bottom of your screen, now you may have to actually stop the video to adjust what I'm about to tell you, but at the bottom of the screen, usually on the right-hand side, you'll see a gear-shaped icon. If you click on that, it will actually bring up a menu, and one of the things in that menu is a playback speed. If you click on that, that will help you to choose a slower speed. Now, if you're absolutely bored with the instruction and really want to speed things up, you have the ability to do that as well. I just wanted to make you aware of that. And that applies to this video and any of my videos, or anybody's videos for that matter, on the YouTube platform. It is also a universal thing that applies to my watch channel at watch.bonniebaycrochet.com, and you can learn more about that in the video description below. All right, well, let's go ahead and let me show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using 3 hanks of yarn by Noti. This is hand-painted yarns, and this is really beautiful. It feels even better than it looks. To be quite honest, this is 100% superfine alpaca. Each of these skeins or hanks has 400 yards. It is a 4-ply. So, and if you would be interested in this yarn, you can reach her at notiyarn.com, and I will have that information in the video description as well. Now, if you don't want to use a very fine yarn, I do have another solution for you. You can always use any kind of yarn you want. I'm going to be demonstrating with this fingering weight or number 1 size yarn, and I'm going to be recommending that you use a size G or 6 or 4.00 millimeter crochet hook for this project. Now, if you want to upsize the yarn, check the video description and I'll have the approximate yardage that you will need if you change the size of the yarn. But if you do change to a larger yarn, such as a sport or a DK or even a worsted weight yarn, be sure that you upsize your crochet hook to match your yarn. As always, I'm also recommending that you have a yarn needle and a pair of sharp scissors. To begin, we're going to start with a slip knot and a starting chain of 70. For row 1, starting in the 4th chain from the hook, we're going to double crochet in that stitch and in each stitch or chain across. So at the end of this row, you should have a total of 67 double crochets. So this is what you should have after completing row 1. And again, you should have 67 stitches. I am not including the chain 3 at the beginning in that stitch count, in case anybody's wondering. So we're going to turn now for row 2. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the first stitch. We're going to work front post double crochets in the first 2 stitches, and a post stitch you just simply work the stitch around the stitch as if you're giving it a belt. After that, we work 2 back post double crochets, and that's what we're going to repeat all the way across. 2 front post double crochets, followed by 2 back post double crochets. So go ahead and work that across. I'll show you how row 2 ends. At the end of row 2, we're going to work 2 front post double crochets, and then we're going to work a half double crochet worked into that turning chain, thereby maintaining the constant stitch count of 67 stitches, again not counting the turning chain at the beginning of the row. All right, so now just for the record, the even numbered rows are going to be the front side, the odd numbered rows are going to be the back side as we progress through this. So now we're going to turn, chain 2, and so for row 3 we're going to skip that first stitch, which is that half double crochet, and then we're going to maintain the pattern, but we're going to start with back post double crochet. So work 2 back post double crochets, followed by 2 front post double crochets, and we're going to work that all the way across the row. Again, 2 back post double crochets, followed by 2 front post double crochets. So go ahead and work this all the way across, and I will show you how the row ends. At the end of row 3, we're going to work 2 more back post double crochets, and then a half double worked into that turning chain. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. Again, this is the back side and this is the front side. At this point they are the same for the most part, but that's going to change once we start working the Celtic weave. So now I'm going to have you work rows 2 and 3 more times, and this will be for rows 4 through 9. Now when you start the even numbered rows, you're going to start by working 2 front post double crochets and then 2 back post double crochets. These rows will end with 2 front post double crochets. Now for the odd numbered rows, you're going to start with 2 back post double crochets followed by 2 front post double crochets, and you'll end likewise with 2 back post double crochets. Okay, now if you need stitch support to watch very carefully, look at the bottom of the screen and I will put a time mark where row 2 begins, and then of course it's followed by row 3. All right, so go ahead and work rows 4 through 9. This is what you should have after completing 9 rows. So now we're going to start row 10. We are going to chain 3. We're going to skip the first stitch, and then we're going to work a V stitch into the next stitch, working through the top loops. Work that double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet worked into the same stitch. After we do that, we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the next stitch we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. After completing that V stitch, we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to begin the Celtic weave in that next stitch. So in the 4th stitch from that V-stitch, we're going to work a front post treble crochet, and then we're going to work another front post treble crochet. Working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to work a front post treble crochet in the 2nd stitch that we skipped and in the 3rd stitch that we skipped. So make sure that you leave this stitch unworked. Okay, that was the 1st stitch that we skipped. So again, front post treble crochet. After this row, this will be easier because we're going to just be working in the pattern stitch, so you don't have to worry about working in the base. Okay, so now we're going to work a few more Celtic weave crosses. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble, in the next 2 stitches. Make sure I go through all the fibers. There we go. Working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. Now, if this is the first time you're seeing the Celtic weave, I do have some other stitch videos on this that you might want to study because this can be a little bit challenging. Okay, so now we've worked 2 sets or 2 Celtic weave crosses. Okay, we're going to do that until we have a total of 6. So I'll work these with you so that it can be as clear as possible. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in each of the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in those 2 skipped stitches. Always start with the one furthest away and then the one that comes closer to the stitches that you just worked. All right, so that's 3, and we have 3 more to do. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in each of the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches. I know I may be sounding like a broken record at this point, but that's what teachers do. And then front post treble in that next skipped stitch. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. 2 more to go. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, and then again working in front post treble in the next, or the 2 stitches that were skipped. So now we got 1 more to work. Skip the next 2, and then front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now, if this is way too fast for you, I apologize first off. And if you want, you can always slow this down. Look at the bottom right. On most platforms, you'll find a little gear-shaped icon. If you click on that, it will bring up a playback speed, and you can actually slow this video down. This works for Vimeo on my Watch channel, and I have information in the video description about that. Also works for every video on YouTube. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of the Celtic weave. Okay, this has been worked over 24 stitches. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch we're going to work that V stitch again, which is a double crochet, chain 1 and a double crochet. Skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the next we're going to work another V stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and now we're going to repeat what we've done before. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the next stitch, which is right here, we're going to work the Celtic weave again. So front post treble crochet in each of those next 2 stitches, and then working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble here and here. Remember, after that V-stitch, do not work that next stitch. So we're front post treble crochet is what we're working in those 2 stitches. And then again, that's 1 set. We're going to do this until we have a total of 6. So skip 2 more stitches, front post treble in each of the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble into the 2 skipped stitches, and let's continue. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble the next 2, and then again working in front post treble into those 2 stitches that were skipped. Okay, so let's pause and see. Okay, now we have 3, 1, 2, 3 sets, 3 more to go. Skip the next 2, front post treble in those next 2, working in front post treble into the 2 skip stitches. And just to let you know, this is a challenging stitch. If you have to pause and take it out, by all means do it. Don't feel bad if you struggle with this stitch. It's something that a lot of people can struggle with, but it's worth the struggle to learn because it produces a very beautiful texture with crochet. It's probably one of my more popular stitches. Okay, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 more to go. Front post treble. Those 2 next 2 stitches, and then working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble into the 2 stitches that were skipped. Okay, now we're going to end with those V stitches, so we're going to skip the next stitch. We're going to work a V stitch and that next stitch. So after that first V stitch, we're going to skip the next stitch and the next stitch. So skip 2 stitches and work a V stitch in that next stitch. Skip the next stitch, and in the last stitch we're going to work a double crochet. Okay, we're not going to work in the turning chain. So now we're going to turn. Well, let's go ahead and look at what we have first of all. Okay, so this should be totally symmetrical. You have, starting over here, the 2 V stitches, 6 Celtic weave crosses, 2 V stitches, and then 6 more Celtic weave crosses, and then 2 V stitches, and then a double crochet at the end. So now we're ready to move on to row 11. So let's go ahead and turn, and this is the back side facing clearly, and it's going to be a little more challenging, so hang with me a minute. Let's go ahead and chain 3, working only in that chain 1 space. So we're going to skip that first stitch. Actually, this chain does count as a stitch in this row, just for the record. And we're going to skip this stitch and this stitch. We're only going to work in the chain 1 spaces of the V stitch, and we're going to work, you guessed it, a V stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then we'll go to the next chain 1 space, work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. All right, Now we're going to jump right into the Celtic weave. Now when you work the Celtic weave with the back side facing, you're going to start right off with 2 back post treble crochets. We're not skipping anything at all. Back post treble and back post treble. Okay, now we start skipping stitches, and this is where it gets interesting. And again, if you make mistakes, please, it's okay. That's just part of the learning process. And if you're still confused, you can always send a picture of your work to me at bonniebayatme.com. Just know that I don't respond on weekends, but I will respond to you and, let you know, thumbs up, it looks good, or maybe you need to check on a particular thing. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Skip the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to back post treble in these 2 stitches, and these are going to be the 2 stitches that were crossed on top on the front side. So we work back post treble crochet and another back post treble crochet. Now this is where language is inadequate, and the visual will help you with what I'm going to explain. Next, we're going to work back post treble crochets in these 2 stitches, but we're going to cross in front of these as seen from the front side. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do this several times for you. So we're going to come in the back, and I am crossing in front of those 2 stitches that we've already done. So this is the first one, and then I complete a back post treble, and then come in for that second stitch. If you have trouble seeing these stitches, start working on depending on the nerve endings in your thumb and finger. Okay, that will help tremendously. All right, so we have completed, let's go ahead and look at the back side. After doing that, you can see we've completed a cross on the back side. Notice that we didn't start by crossing this. You'll understand this in a bit, but these 2 stitches, or this narrow column, is going to actually come back into the weave later, actually on the next row. But for now, it is not crossed. Okay, skip the next 2 stitches, and these 2 stitches that my tall man feel on top, those are the next 2 that we're going to back post treble crochet into. Now working in front of those, as seen from the front side, we're going to back post treble into 2 skipped stitches. 1, and this one here, 2. Okay, just like that. So now continuing, we're going to do this again. Skip the next 2 stitches, back post treble crochet in the next 2 stitches. Again, these are the 2 that are on the top of the crossing from the last time. Working in front of those as seen from the front side. And again, my fingers can feel these 2 that I'm going to work around. So we come around just to show you what it looks like. We grab that one and work that back post treble, and then again okay, let's do it again. Skip 2 more, back post treble around the 2, which again are those 2 that are on the surface when they crossed on that last row. And then here are the other 2 we're going to work around. Again, make sure your hook comes all the way from the back. We don't want to come down in front and work in front of those stitches like that. We work in front of them as seen from the front side, not the way we see it now. I know this is a little confusing, but once you understand this, you're going to really enjoy this stitch. Okay, looks like we have one more. Skip the next 2 stitches, back post treble around the next 2, and then working in front of those 2 stitches as seen from the front side, we come around and work a back post treble here and here. Now let's turn and look at what we've done so far. So far we have the 2 stitches here, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Celtic cable or Celtic weave crosses. But we have 2 more stitches that we need to complete before we're done. And these are the stitches, if you're going to forget something, you're probably going to forget these. There are 2 additional stitches here. So let's go ahead and we're going to work back post trebles here. Again, this is what you do whenever the back side is facing. All right, so now let's turn and look at what we have. This is the front side. So we have a total of 24 stitches here. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 is 20, plus 2 is 24. So you have 24 stitches. When the front side is facing, you're going to have 6 Celtic weave crosses of 4 stitches each. When the back side is facing, you're going to make 5, not 6, but then the 2 and the 2 here kind of make up that 6th one. They're just not crossed. All right. Now we're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to go to that V stitch and work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and skip to that next chain 1 space for that V stitch, double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Now we're going to do this all over again. I'll start you off, but I'm not going to do every single one, but I'll go ahead and start you off again. Both sides are going to be symmetrical. So we start out with 2 back post trebles. We do not start off crossing them. That's only with the front side facing. So we have those 2 back post trebles. Now we start crossing. Skip the next 2, back post treble in the next 2, and again these will be on top. You'll be able to feel them with your tall man finger to know that you're doing it correctly. Working in front of those as seen from the front side, we come all the way around. Make sure that you, well, let's try that one again. Wrap, come into the back way. There we go. I was doing it right before. I was just not pulling it through all the threads. All right, and then the next one, we come right like that. And that happened again. Let's try that one again. And there we go. Let's turn, and you see that they have crossed properly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'll do one more with you here. Skip the next 2. Back post treble. And those next 2. And working in front, as seen from the front side, we come all the way and do those next 2. All right, I'm going to finish the next few, and then I'll show you the last 2 of the Celtic weave. Now I finished 5 Celtic weave crosses with the back side facing. So we have those first 2 stitches that we started with, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of 4, which means we still have 2 more stitches, 1, 2 left, and we're going to work back post treble crochets in these, just like that. We get to those V stitches and go to the chain 1 space, and we work a double crochet, a chain 1, a double crochet, and then skip to the next chain 1 space, a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And now working in the chain 3 space, work an additional double crochet. All right, so let's turn and see how this is coming out. Isn't that pretty? And I just love this variegated yarn, or the hand-dyed yarn. You just get a lot of different hues of this beautiful lavender color. All right, so now we're going to work row number 12. And I'm not going to work every single stitch, but I'm going to get you started. We're going to chain 3, and then starting in the chain 1 space of that V stitch, we work a V stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then again to the next chain 1 space, a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And now we work the Celtic weave, and this is how we do this, and it's going to be easier to see this time. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now working in front of those 2 stitches, we front post treble in the next 2, and these were the 2 on the end with the backside facing that were not crossed, but look how they easily get brought right back into the weave as we front post treble in those. And so now it's turned and it's going right back into the weave. Skip the next 2 stitches. Notice that these 2 stitches are kind of played in hide and seek. They're hiding behind this stitch. So I'm bringing awareness of that because these are the ones that we're going to work after we complete these other 2. So we skip those at first and then front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Working in front of those, we front post treble in those 2 that are hidden. And again, you're going to need to use your thumb and tall man finger to find and locate these, and let your finger and thumb direct your hook. It does make it so much easier. And there's the second stitch. All right. So now we have 2. So I'm going to go ahead and work this until we get to the V stitches, and I will show you how that connects. So I have now worked a total of 5 Celtic weave crosses. Here's the 6th one. I'm going to go ahead and back this out. So we're skipping these 2 stitches. Again, these are hidden behind, but you can look up at the V's to see these. Skip these 2. Front post treble in the next 2. Now working in front of these 2 stitches, you're going to have to find these 2. It's very easy to forget these. So what you could do if you're very new to this stitch is make sure you have 24 stitches before going on to the next section. Okay, so let's pause and take a look at that. Okay, now we get to those V stitches and go to that chain 1 space, and we're just working in that open space there. Chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then do that again to the next chain 1 space. Double crochet, there we go, chain 1 and double crochet, and then that brings us back to the Celtic weave where we work 6 more sets or 6 more crosses. Skip those 2 stitches, front post treble in those next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in those 2 that we just skipped. So go ahead and work that over those next several Celtic weaves. At the end of this row, working in that chain 1 space, we work another V stitch, that double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and let's do that again in the next chain 1 space of that V stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then working in the chain 3, work another double crochet. So that completes row number 12. Now what I'm going to have you do is repeat rows 11. Now remember, 11 is with the backside facing, and row 12. So rows 11 and 12 are going to be the pattern stitch, and we're going to work that continually until this is about the length that you would prefer, minus the ribbing that we're going to repeat again. So if you want to know the exact number of repeats and row numbers and etc., look at the bottom of the screen and I'll have that listed there for you. Now if you need stitch support again for rows 11 and 12, look again at the bottom of the screen. Row number 11 starts at that time mark that's there, and you can re-watch from row 11 and 12 as many times as you need. And after I complete the length of this, then I will return and show you how to go back to working ribbing for the ending of the scarf. Okay, I have worked this Celtic weave stitch with the V stitches on each side and in between for 129 rows. That's just the Celtic weave rows. If you add that to the original 9 ribbing rows, that should give you 138 rows, if my math is correct, and I'm pretty sure it is. Now let me say something. That said, there is nothing magical about the number of rows worked for this particular design. This is specifically up to you, depending on the length that you desire. Some of you may want a shorter length, some of you may want a longer length. So what I encourage you to do is continue working this until you reach the size that you desire. As shown here with the 138 total stitches, I'm measuring approximately 58 inches, and then once we add another 2.5 inches, that's going to put us over 60 inches long, which is a very good size stole or wrap. Now, if you are using thicker yarn than the fingering weight yarn that I'm using, and of course, I'm assuming you're using a larger hook if you're using thicker yarn as well, you're not going to have to work nearly as many rows. You're going to find that your particular item is going to grow much faster. It's going to be a little bit wider, as I showed you earlier. And that's fine. So again, just keep in mind when you're working this, there's nothing magical about the number of the rows, okay? It's all about just doing the beautiful Celtic weave in the best way that you can. All right, so now I am going to say there is one important thing before we go further. We're going to go on to row 139, or whichever number you want to call this, depending on, again, like I just stated, where you are ready to return to the ribbing. And let me go ahead and show you what we're going to be doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to transition from our Celtic weave back to the double ribbing that we did at the very beginning. Okay, now in order to do this, I want you to have ended with the front side facing, and then so now to work this row, we're going to turn to have the back side facing for the beginning of this section. So now for row 139, this is transitioning back to the double ribbing. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip that first stitch, and the next stitch, which is the first double crochet of the V, we're going to work 2 double crochets into that chain 1 space, and then 1 into that next double crochet. Skip that next double crochet, work 2 double crochets into that next chain 1 space, and then 1 into that next space. Now as we work across the Celtic weave, all we're going to do is work back post double crochets all the way across the row, or at least across until we get to the V stitches again. And then, whoops, let me go ahead and do that one again, and I'll work that section with you. So let me just show you we're working back post double crochets. Now as you work those, make sure that you have 4 for every 4 stitch cluster. We don't want to get off on our counts here. All right, so go ahead and work that until you get into the center of the stole. Again, as you get to the center part with those V-stitches, go ahead and skip that first double crochet. We're going to work 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space and 1 in that next double crochet, skip the next double crochet, 2 in the chain 1 space, and then 1 in the next stitch. And then we just continue with our back post double crochets over the Celtic weave all over again. So go ahead and work that over those Celtic weave stitches. Remember to work 4 back post double crochets for each of the 4 stitch clusters, and I'll meet you at the end of the row and show you how we're going to end the row and turn it to continue. As we work across the row, again, we're going to skip the next double crochet of those last 2 V stitches, work 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space and 1 in the next double crochet, and we're going to do that one more time. Skip the next double crochet. I promise there's a method behind my madness here. In doing this, it just really does help make these stitches look a little more even than if we out and outright crochet 1 in each. Okay, so after those 2 in the chain 1 space, we work 1 more in that last stitch. Now we're going to work a half double crochet in the turning chain. Okay, now let's go ahead and turn, and we're going to work the double ribbing for the last 8 rows. We're going to chain 2, skipping that first stitch, and just like we did at the beginning, we're going to work 2 front post double crochets, and we're going to follow that with 2 back post double crochets, and we're going to work this all the way across the row. 2 front post double crochets followed by 2 back post double crochets. So go ahead and work that. This row ends by working a half double crochet into that turning chain. So this should bring you back to the original stitch count. So let's go ahead and turn. We're going to chain 2 at the beginning, and we're just going to follow what the ribbing is doing. So we're going to skip that first stitch, and you have 2 back posts now. So we're going to work 2 back post double crochets followed by 2 front post double crochets, and we're going to work that all the way across the row. And when you get to the end of the row, we're going to work a half double crochet worked into that turning chain. So go ahead and work that all the way across. We're going to end with 2 back post double crochets and then a half double worked into the turning chain. And let's go ahead and turn, and you should see the familiar double ribbing pattern. So now for the next 6 rows, we're just going to repeat these last 2 rows. So go ahead and work the next 6 rows. So at the end of the last row, this is row 147, we end with a chain and a tug. And if you want to give that an extra, I'm going to give that an extra chain just for a little added insurance. And I'm going to cut a nice generous strand, and I'm going to be hiding this into my work on the back side using my yarn needle. And I have several others that I need to hide as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our finished ribbing, which should look remarkably similar to the ribbing we started with.
So we are all finished.
Well, I hope you enjoyed making the Celtic Weave Scarf or stole with me today. If you did, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment in the comment section below. And for any reason, if you need to email me, that information is there in the video description as well. God bless. Bye-bye.